Hello everybody, this is David Bott from OutsideOurBubble.com, and today we bring you a tale of RV heroism. Yes, this is a happy ending, so don't panic or anything. What you're looking at is our dash cam footage from November 5th, 2015. It says 5:04 p.m., but understand that my clock was 2 hours off on my GPS, so it's actually 3:04 p.m. Now, as I mentioned, this is our dash cam footage, so everything you're going to see here is recorded from the same camera, same point of view, and I'm moving the camera around digitally and digitally zooming in. So as I digitally zoom in here, what do you notice? Yep, you got it. There's an RV that seems to be catching on fire, or at this point is on fire. So our friend Jim was coming over to visit. We actually came out here to see Beverly and Jim. And Jim had just gotten home, and here they are coming to our house. Note the time code is still the same because the cameras are linked together, and therefore we have views from both vantage points of inside the coach and outside the coach at all times. Well, as Jim has pulled in, he's come over and greeted us and said hello, and you can see the fire has now broken through the roof of the RV.
Hello there.
Inside, I greet Jim, obviously, and we get to talking about RVing and everything, all totally oblivious to what is happening outside out our front window. This is our view. This is, once again, what we see, and even the bees going by the windshield. And as you can see, the fire continues. Unbeknownst to us at this time, obviously, we don't even know the fire is taking place, but that RV has a single occupant and a dog. And as everybody knows, you know, you got to get out of an RV fire right away. You have to. Now, before I go any further, I want to say that the owner was not home. However, yes, you got it. That leaves the dog. The dog was inside the motor coach. Nobody knew that at this time, obviously. We're still talking away, which leads us to, you know, the very thing about fire safety that we've talked about in the past and things you should do and what have not. Unfortunately, this gentleman was not home when this took place, and it took place because of his no-call refrigerator. The same one that was recalled. That refrigerator had an overheating problem, and in this particular case, it did exactly what they warned against. It seemed to have caught fire. This fire is, as you can see, just going on and on here. It's in the background to us. Jim has his back turned. I'm looking at Jim. I'm not even looking out the window, obviously. And this fire is starting to rage out of control. And at this point, it's coming up the side of the coach. It has, what you're seeing burning there at this point is the awning. Because it came out the outside of the coach from the back of the refrigerator, went up the side of the coach and hit the awning and started that on fire. Some of that fire, of course, is now at the wall level, and it's going to be burning through at some point. This is right now we're 3 minutes in from when the fire started. Obviously, before you saw that smoke, because it was smoldering before that. So that fire might have been started 5 minutes ago at this point. So, as you can see, we're sitting here just discussing stuff and talking about our last Red Base day, and the fire it's just going, and we don't see anybody at this point. As you can see out the window, nobody's around. Nobody is paying attention to this. Yet at the same time, you know, just like I don't blame them. I mean, just like us, we're inside the motor coach here, and we don't have a clue what's going on outside our window either. So, you have to remember now, at this whole time, there's a dog in there. Yes, there is. There is a dog in there. And I can only imagine what this poor dog is going through. Smoke detector's going off, there's flames, there's smoke, it's chaos to him, obviously. We're obviously glad a human occupant wasn't inside sleeping or something, but in that case, they would have all be able to get out safely without issue. And we weren't quite sure, you know, what was going to take place once we got to the fire and found out that the dog was still inside. So here we are talking, and Jim, as you can see, is in a nice vantage point at this point. All he needs to do is look to his left, and sure enough, if that fire is raging on, and you know you can see it striking distance there, and the billowing clouds, and we're just talking away, and it takes that one look. That one look is all we need to have a call to action, and sure enough, Jim looks over.
Oh shit! Fire extinguisher! No kidding. Get the foam stuff, love.
We were out of there so fast running toward that fire that I didn't have the heels of my shoes on, so I'm running like in flip-flops. Meanwhile, Brenda is going about grabbing other fire extinguishers in our coach. These are foam fire extinguishers for different types of fighting a fire. And then Jim had grabbed his, and you can see him running toward the fire as well. Meanwhile, Brenda is now exiting the RV and starting to run toward the fire with 2 more fire extinguishers. At this point, Jim is coming around by the back side of the RV. I'm on the other side, and there, I discharged the first fire extinguisher up the side of the motorhome and into the back of the refrigerator. That allowed me to pull the back off because I had knocked down the flames that were coming out of it. It allowed me to pull the back off, and a Good Samaritan handed me another fire extinguisher, and that's where I discharged it. I put my hand inside the refrigerator area with the nozzle pointed upwards, pulled the trigger, and shot it up the wall inside, hoping that would knock down some of that in-wall fire that was there at this point. So Jim came around the side and handed me another fire extinguisher, which you can see me discharging there. That would make the 3rd fire extinguisher that we've emptied onto that, and it was time to move on to the foam. Meanwhile, Jim goes to grab a garden hose, and the Good Samaritan comes around his RV and grabs the hose, and Jim leads him over to where we're going to be battling the fire. And because what we're going to do at this point is we are going to shatter windows and try to get some of that smoke out and try to do something in regards to knocking down the fire from the inside, shooting it through a window. At this time, we weren't too hopeful about the dog. You have to understand, we're here. The timer here is 6 minutes and 52 seconds. You know when it started. It started before we started talking about this video, and you know how much time has passed. We knew the dog was in there because the owner's car was there, and the owner owns a motorcycle, and it was not there. So we knew that the poor guy was in there, and we're feeling it at this point. But all hope was not lost. We were still battling a good battle, trying to keep this at bay as best we can. So we had to come up with some other plans to how to do that. Right there you saw the fires doused. That was a foam fire extinguisher going off. And now you'll see a gentleman climbing up the back ladder. He was going up there to survey what was going on and if we had a chance to battle it from above. We didn't feel this was a bad idea at this point because the structural integrity of the coach in the back was not an issue at all. So the ladder was secure, the back was secure. We just hit it with another foam fire extinguisher. I think I went through 6 fire extinguishers on that side of the coach to knock that fire down. However, the issue was the fire was in the wall. So the gentleman is up on the ladder looking at the roof, and a conclusion is going to be made at some point that we're going to actually use a water hose up there to go down. At the same time here, you can see Brenda running back toward the motor coach. What's she coming for? Well, the fire department was called, but they don't know where we are. The reason they don't know where we are and they can't see us is, as you can see, the smoke is now going sideways. So Brenda came running back to the car as we were still working on that fire, and jumps in the car and takes off to the front of the RV park. She grabs her keys here, and out the door she goes and takes off to the front of the RV park to guide them in to the park when they arrive. Well, much to my dismay, the gentleman that was on the ladder is now on the roof, and that kind of made me a little nervous, to tell you the truth. Wasn't quite convinced that, being on the roof end is okay. Being on the ladder was not a bad thing to me because at least you can get down. But if you're standing on the roof and the roof starts to go in, you're definitely going to slide toward the fire. So I wasn't quite happy with that at the moment. But he did a great job with that garden hose, and it greatly helped what we were doing. The smoke you're about to see is when we shattered a window on the passenger side door. That allowed oxygen in. As you can see, it flowed right out and away. And then you're going to see another plume of smoke is where Jim and I shattered the window on the driver's side by the front couch area. What happened there was Jim was trying to open that window by hand. He got it open some, which was great, but his hands got wet and we couldn't push it anymore. I still had a empty fire extinguisher canister, and I was able to shatter that window with 3 hits and able to open that up. Jim was then able to use a garden hose and put it in the window and start fighting the fire from that side, going in that way. The cloud of smoke you just saw puff out was when the driver's side door was finally opened. That came after a noble effort with me and the gentleman in the red shirt trying to open it with a crowbar and a hatchet, and that didn't succeed very well. So finally the window was broken and he was able to reach in and, when doing so, feel around for the deadbolt, which we couldn't get past, and was able to unlock that. The good news is when that door was opened, everything succeeded as we had hoped. The smoke had come out as you had seen, and we basically had a vented fire at that point, getting some of that smoke out of the RV and hopefully alleviating some of the stress the dog was under by hopefully having a little bit more oxygen at that point. So we continued to just do what we can at this point, and coming up with different things that might help. Jim was still fighting the fire from the passenger side, the driver's side, as he was still using the hose on the inside, and that was working there. And we were going around looking, to see what else, we might be able to do at that point. The gentleman up on the roof, he was just about done doing what he needed to do because we had knocked it down a lot. But then Jim decided that, wait a minute, which is a great thought, what about the propane? And as you can see, Jim is here trying to open up compartment doors to get to the propane. On the other side of the coach at the same time, myself and another gentleman were manhandling a door that was locked, which is where the propane was. We were able to get that open and shut that propane right down. So with Jim fighting the fire from the passenger side and the gentleman now getting off the roof because it was getting a little weak, the fire department had to be coming right along, and so we started to just basically stay the course. Jim had the hose going on, and that was basically it. It was, we had hoped the dog might survive. We weren't quite sure it actually would. It was kind of heartbreaking, actually. But like I said, this is a happy story, so hang on. In any case, well, you'll start to see here the first fire truck to roll up, and we're 12 and a half minutes into when the camera, I should say, detected the fire. Of course, the other fire truck was not far behind, and that's the good news because he rolled up right after that. Here he comes here on the left-hand side, and he was flying down. It was a hook and ladder truck. But in any case, the fire, when they got there, we had pretty much knocked down all the way. You can still see some smoke there, residual smoke happening. It was very toxic, by the way. The smoke is a very unusual color burning from that. We had spent most of the time trying to get control of the fire and being cautious not to break a window too soon to cause the fire to erupt from a max inflow of oxygen, because the entire RV was inside was encased with smoke, or filled with smoke, I should say. So the fire department finally was able to get there, and you can see the smoke going up. This is when they're starting to hit it. Here's Brenda coming back after she led them in. And then, of course, what does she do? She, of course, runs right back to the fire. Brenda did have to come back again later. I give her credit. I mean, she's running here, and this is not a small area. You can see how far away the RV is, and she ran back and forth twice so far, and she had to come back a third time to get eye wash because I kind of got smoked in the face and powdered fire extinguisher in the face. You can see now the water going up in the background there. That's the fire department applying water finally to the motor coach and knocking it down more. And at that point, of course, when they arrived, we informed them that we did not know if there was anybody inside, but we were thinking that the owner was gone and there was a dog inside. They entered the RV, looked around, came back out and said it was all clear, and we were all relieved. It was great. I mean, it was exciting because this is what it was like. This is what the dog went through. Now, remember I said that the firefighter came out and said it was all clear. Well, when he went into the RV, he turned to the left and went back toward the bedroom, which makes sense. There wasn't much to go forward on. And if he had, however, he would have saw that the dog was laying in front of the driver's seat. And cowering probably quite a bit. So he just kind of laid there this whole time trying to survive, and that's where he laid. And the good news is that was the most untouched part of the vehicle. Well, that dog got up and just walked on out. As you can see, the dog was safe and reunited with the owner, and the day ended on a very good note. I have no idea how he survived, but in some way, he must have known we were coming. Anyway, there you have it. RVers helping other RVers, or in this case, their pets. I'm David Bott from Outside Our Bubble.